What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chaos. So, welcome to a new episode of Take It to the Table. I am joined by none other than the regular host of the regular guest of the show, and it's none other than Ignacio. How you doing today, sir? You feeling controversial today?
Oh, it's hard not to feel controversial given what's been going on all over social media in the past couple of days regarding the world of wrestling. So we got plenty to get into today, Chaos.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, I'm based in the UK, and like, just when you think that the wrestling world is like nothing's going to be happening, like there's some major news hitting 3, 4 a.m. in our time. So it's just constantly back to back. I've never seen it so active. So it's pretty crazy. So yeah, we're gonna delve into quite a few things that's happening. Not even just the past 48 hours, just this whole week. It's absolutely crazy. So yeah, Soul may join us later on. He may not. We'll just see how it goes. But you know, we got the best guest here. We got the best guest here already. So yeah. So yeah, without further ado, as always, let us take it to the table. All right, all right, all right. Yes. So, where do we flipping start? All right. So, I think that the, the main one or second to main story that's gone through this week is basically with a one man named Jeff Hardy that has
Mhm.
obviously that's unfortunately been arrested for DUI. It's his third one in the decade. And yes, it's pretty unfortunate, harrowing stuff. He was pulled over. He was completely intoxicated, and there was some like little not necessarily altercation with the police force, but um, I saw the body cam footage, and then the guns were pulled out and stuff. It was really crazy stuff. Um, and yeah, he was originally meant to him and Matt was originally obviously meant to be part of the triple threat ladder match on AEW Road Rager, which happened last night. Obviously, they got
Mhm.
removed from it. He has been suspended without pay, and he will not be allowed back until he is actually taken, you know, the rehab and all the help that is going to be offered, and he comes back clean and healthy and everything else. So unlike what he did with obviously WWE, he's actually taken that advice and is going to go through that and see what happens from there. But until then,
Is
uh,
he?
say again.
He said he was gonna go ahead and go to rehab. Is did he?
Yeah, yeah, he did.
Okay,
They
good.
offered it to him, and then yeah, he's actually taking it.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll just have to see where it goes from there. So the reason I'm basically bringing it up is obviously it's a sad situation. It's a sad it's of someone of so much charisma. Well, he is the charismatic enigma and everything else, but someone that I've definitely grown up, you know, not necessarily idolizing, but he was part of my childhood,
Hmm.
and not just him, but also Matt, and they just going through it. They've gone through so many ups and downs, but it's what's more notable with them is mainly the downs, which is unfortunate. Um, and obviously AEW gave them a chance to have made them have this big final run in their careers because obviously they're nearing their twilight of their careers, and Jeff goes out and does this kind of madness. So I mean, me personally, because of obviously uh his past issues with drugs and alcohol and whatnot, and it seems not to be his demons don't seem to be letting him go. I think, and he's got a family, and in my opinion, even though it's not my place to really tell people what to do with their careers and whatnot, but
Hmm.
in this case, I think that the best course for him would be to like wrestling should be the last thing on his mind to the point where he should probably need to like just and like retire. Maybe have one final match or something, but there's something because his reputation can't be any more damaged than it already is, and like it's it's someone that's obviously been of some that's been a part of so many highlights, so many memorable, iconic moments in wrestling. um, he's slowly diminishing his reputation, his legacy.
Hmm.
And the other way to really, if he can't escape those demons, and to avoid forever tarnishing your legacy, the best thing would be to like just end it here while you still get the chance, before you're looked at as, just a bad omen for the wrestling business. I know it's not easy to just cut off, drinking and whatnot. Everyone's gone through it. All the notable names: Scott Hall,
Hmm.
uh Jake Roberts, you know Chris Benoit, dare I say his name, Kurt Angle, all the kind of people. They've all, some people have had they've gone down these dark paths. It
Yeah.
takes them a long way to get out. I understand that, but it's kind of different with Jeff Hardy. I mean, because of how special he is, and it's just incredibly frustrating for him to like literally get this big final run. He gets, we thought that WWE wrongly released him.
Sure.
He said that he wasn't in danger or intoxicated,
Hmm.
even though the whole situation was strange. Um, they offered him some help. He refused it, so they let him go. We thought obviously he could have a little redemption with AEW, and he literally basically he spat in their back in their face. He spat in their face basically.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just so embarrassing. I feel more embarrassing for AEW than I do for Jeff Hardy or Matt. You know what I mean? So it's stuff like this. I just I don't, because of that. I think just because of that situation, he should like just save face. Just call it quits. Get back on the clean road. Be there for your family, because at the end of the day, the wheel's gonna keep turning with this wrestling business. But with your family, if God forbid you're gone before your time is, like, it's not good. So uh, I just think that, yeah, you should actually just keep it, like, just um, yeah, get on a clean slate, and then have the wrestling in the rearview mirror, because I just don't like, when you think about, obviously, I don't see him as someone that's a potential title world championship contender. I don't even want him anywhere near the world heavyweight title. Um, he's just there for a cheap pop and just for nostalgia reasons. Same with Matt. I don't see them as, I don't want to see him have a world title run or anything like that. They had their chance in TNA. That's done now. You know. So I don't, other than that's just a nostalgia feeling, I don't see any further use for them in AEW. Uh, Maybe Matt could obviously do producer roles or whatnot, but yeah, them as a team and seeing Jeff Hardy on TV,
Yeah.
I'm over it now. He's betrayed everyone's trust, and it's uh, like, I know it's hard to kick a habit, but you spat in everyone's face. You spat in your fans' face and everything. So that's my two twos, if you will, on the
Mhm.
situation with Jeff Hardy. What are your thoughts on the situation, Ignacio?
Well, I just think to kind of a little bit reiterate what you said at the beginning a little bit is like, we're not saying uh, how this individual, how this man, how Jeff Hardy should live his life, or coming off. We're not trying to come off as high and mighty here,
Mm-mm.
what I mean, at all. But I think the most important thing here is that Jeff Hardy gets the help his need, not only for him but for his family. And I think Jeff Hardy's just one of those. He's one of those people that what you say is true. I mean, he did probably betray the trust of people in AEW and Tony Khan and the fans, of course. But I think the fans can be forgiving just as long as he goes through a program, gets the help he needs, can take care of his family and so forth. But I'm with you as far as that. Jeff Hardy doesn't need to wrestle anymore, and I don't think.
Yeah.
I think that was, in my opinion, that was prevalent in some of the matches he's had in AEW, and the way him and Matt Hardy, the way they move around the ring. I mean, sometimes it was painful for them to watch. It pained me to watch them move around in the ring. They're not what they were not even 5 years ago. So I think it'd be a good idea for Jeff Hardy to concentrate on him getting healthy mentally, physically, and to take care of his family. And he doesn't have to wrestle anymore. He can
No.
he can do appearances like Jake Roberts, and Kurt Angle, and a lot of these other guys do make appearances, do signings, talk to people that have encountered the same issues, on a podcast or what have you. He can make a difference in the wrestling business in other ways, like DDP has, so forth and so on. He doesn't have to be in the ring anymore, damaging his body. So, you mentioned WWE and the situation there where he walked out in the middle of a house show and they tried to offer him help. Who's to say that he wasn't under the influence or what have you? And I don't want to make any assumptions, but uh, if it quacks, it's a duck. You know what I mean? So it would be hard to believe now that there weren't any issues there, and WWE offered him the help and he didn't take it. But I'm glad he's taking it now because, and I hate to bring up detrimental things, but we don't want another situation that happened with Sunny, right?
Yeah.
And she's going to pay maybe not the ultimate price, but close to it for what happened in her incidents where she was involved in a motor vehicle accident where she was under the influence and she took the life of an elderly man. And we don't want another situation like that, especially with Jeff Hardy or anybody in the wrestling industry for that matter. I just hope he gets the help he needs and he becomes healthy mentally, physically, and he's able to redeem himself and come back for this, like so many others have in the wrestling business. You mentioned Kurt Angle, Jake Roberts, Scott Hall for a time. Jeff Jarrett. He's talked
Yep.
about his issues in the past, so it's possible you can do it, and you don't have to step into the ring and wrestle anymore to prove to people that you're mentally healthy, that you're good. There's other things you can do, and I hope Jeff can do that.
No, 100%. I'm just tired of hearing I'm sorry. I'm clean now.
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
on the mend. I'm just tired of hearing it from him. And it's, he
Mhm.
just fumbles the bag so many times. It was he's like apparently he was also intoxicated before their match against the Young Bucks at Double or Nothing. They were unsure of like what was, if they should even go forward with the match, and then they eventually did. Then he did that random thing at the end of the match. He went into the crowd and he went all the way around and came back. Like it was didn't make no sense. Um, uh, yeah, this something is up. It doesn't make sense. I mean, he's getting paid well. He's got a loving family. I mean, for what I've seen, I don't know, but you know, yeah, it's just really weird. It's just yeah, obviously he's got demons that's refusing to let go of him. What obviously didn't make it even better was Remy, his wife Remy Sky or Remy Hardy, sorry.
Uh-huh.
She that she was on TikTok and it looked like she was making light of the situation. She was making all these weird videos and saying like, doesn't matter what happened, he's still going to be at Dynamite, he's going to win the tag team titles, all this kind of stuff. Really weird stuff. It was look like she was making light of it. I'm not even
Well, I
joking.
didn't
It was
see.
really
Okay, I
weird.
didn't see that. So yeah.
Yeah, she's really odd. And then she was obviously she was defending herself like she can't be around him 24/7. She, which is understandable. He's a grown ass man. You don't have to be around him all the time.
You
But
shouldn't have to. Yeah.
you shouldn't have to, exactly. So but yeah, but what I'm getting at is obviously I'm not saying I'm trying to control obviously what he should do. It's just to save his legacy. And everyone's fond memories of him, of when obviously the infamous the not infamous, the iconic spear that Edge did to him while he's hanging on the titles, when he won the title in the triple threat between Edge and Triple H,
Mhm.
his memorable feud with CM Punk. There's so many memorable moments, and I just don't want him to obviously be I don't want everyone to say Jeff Hardy and everyone gives an eye roll, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
his name
Exactly.
becomes, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, I hope he gets well soon, gets all the help he
Absolutely.
deserves, and just be on the clean slate for the final time. Final time.
Of course. Yeah.
All right. So, sticking with obviously AEW, don't worry, we're going to delve into WWE side of things. So obviously Road Rager was on last night. And pretty jam packed, pretty eventful. So yeah, we'll just obviously blitz through certain parts, and obviously we'll get to the main sticky point where we're going to talk
Sure.
about. So obviously, the show started off with your favorite guy in the whole world in ACO, Chris Jericho,
Oh,
versus Ortiz. Yeah, it was
yeah.
Ortiz. In a hair versus hair match. And I didn't realize he's actually had two other matches, and he's 2-0. He's undefeated in hair versus hair matches. I did not know that. It came up in a little graphic underneath. I was like, oh, okay, fair enough, fair enough. And
When?
then
Against who? In AEW?
no, no, not in AEW. In previous
Oh,
promotions, yeah, in
oh,
previous promotions. But yeah, probably it's 2-0. I
all right.
I didn't grab who he fought, but he's 2-0.
Okay.
Well, now 3-0 because he obviously kept his hair, and Ortiz had to shave his hair. During that happened, during while that happened, um, Ignacio, obviously we have a little group chat, and I basically he basically got triggered by like just how Jericho is obviously a piece of shit, which you all know how Ignacio feels
Uh,
about Jericho. But the thing that really got grinded his gears was obviously during the match, or what made Jericho win the match was that basically I think Ortiz was on the verge of winning, but then Fuego del Sol interfered randomly. I was just like, oh, okay, this was my live reaction when I saw it. And then when we saw it, and then we ran outside, I looked at him and it was like, oh, he's got a bit chunkier now. Okay, good on him. He's not like a little twig. But it didn't make sense why he would interfere in this match. And then obviously
yeah.
Jericho won with the I think he had to hit him with a Judas effect, I think. And then 1, 2, 3, then it turned out to be Sammy Guevara. Which is so obviously he is reunited with Jericho alongside Jake Hager, with the well, as part of the Jericho Association Society, Appreciation Society, I should say. And yeah, obviously you did not like that at all. So if you please, why did you not like that whole segment and match, please?
Well, I don't like any of this. I don't like that anything that has to do with the Jericho Jobber Society. It's ridiculous. It's Jericho. He's not playing a heel. He's not playing sports entertainer. Doing a parody of what a heel sports entertainer would do. That's what he's doing. He's making fun of the wrestling business. But people, I don't know, they're so delusional. I don't know if it's their song. If you know that deal, if you play a song backwards, the subliminal messages, if that's
Yeah,
what's in
yeah,
the song when he comes out, and they're getting disillusioned that this shit is good, it's ridiculous. This whole thing is just, it's so bad. It's a parody of sports entertainment. It's a parody of what WWE does at their worst. It, Sammy Guevara they had good heat, him and Ty Conte, I think, and then it went to go away heat definitely at the pay-per-view
yeah.
at Double or Nothing. And it then went from go away heat to get the hell away heat. And now with Jericho, it's just, I don't want to see these fucking people anymore. It's just, he tries to leech onto anybody that he thinks can elevate whatever program he's in. He did that with FTR. He did that with MJF. He did it with, as much as I don't like him, Orange Cassidy had a following. He did it with him with the orange juice bullshit match. He did it with the Elite. He did it with, I can go Eddie Kingston now. I could go on and on and on. It's like Dusty Rhodes of the late 80s. I mean, geez, I don't know why people just don't understand what this man is trying to do. He's plaguing our TV screens every Wednesdays and Fridays. He just needs to go away. And I wish he would. This is terrible. It's not good TV. Sammy Guevara just needs to get away from this. And if he wants to have any inkling of a future in professional wrestling. Even if it's outside of AEW, he needs to run good, fast, and quick away from Chris Jericho. All these people do. Everybody. Would bet you anything. Eddie Kingston hates this. He hates it. He has to, but he has to work with this man to get paid.
Yeah, I mean, I I ain't gonna lie. When it first started, I thought it was different. Before obviously I got told that Matt Cardona did it beforehand, but simply because it felt like they were doing a parody like of WWE. They were saying AEW Galaxy and giving these people name changes that doesn't when they don't need it. It was just hilarious in that aspect.
Well,
Um,
Well, this is my take on it, dude. If we want to see that shit, we'll change the other channel. We'll see. We'll wait until Monday and Friday to see that shit. Wednesday, they're supposed to be their alternative, so just be the alternative. Mike Cardona did. He does a version of it, but he takes it more seriously. I'm the sports entertainer kind of thing, but Jericho just does a parody of it. That's the issue with it.
right. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. No, I get it. It's because now obviously I think the one thing that they shouldn't have done, in my opinion, was actually do the associate them with the Blackpool Fight Club, whatever they're called now.
Man.
Combat Club. Yeah. I think that was even though I thought that the Anarchy in the arena match was fine for what it was. It wasn't like a bomb burn or anything. But it definitely dampened. It definitely looking back at it, it definitely felt weird seeing Bryan Danielson in this random thing. Like it just felt someone of his status shouldn't be anywhere near it. When you went after all the hype is down and you look back at it, it does like they've kind of dropped the ball with Bryan Danielson right now.
Absolutely.
But yeah, definitely the association with them too was maybe they shouldn't have done that. But where am I going with this? Yeah, I mean, it's okay. I mean, I'm not blown away by it, or I don't really care for it as much. I wouldn't say he's a virus on my TV, Jericho. I'm talking about, but
he's a diarrhea. He's a diarrhea on me. But the point I'm trying to get with all this is all these people that he's working with. I'm talking about like definitely Danielson, Moxley, if you want to throw him in there, Wheeler Yuta, all these other Eddie Kingston and Santana, all these people that he's working with should be doing something more and better other than what they're doing with Jericho. The TV time that they're giving them should be utilized in a manner that's going to get them over and make them productive. This doesn't get anybody over. It's a waste of TV time, valuable TV time.
No, I hear that. I mean, yeah, I do want to. I wouldn't mind having a little break from Jericho. I ain't gonna lie. He should probably get written off for a little bit. They can do a Fozzy tour, like a long Fozzy tour, and then come back for something else. But yeah, obviously that match happened. Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti is now in the Jericho Appreciation Society. What else happened? There was what else was there? Oh my gosh, I had a whole list of everything. Now completely forgot me. But yeah, let's go back. Let's go skip to the main event. Obviously, it was the Young Bucks versus Jungle Express. And oh gosh, now he's also doesn't find this one interesting either. Okay, cool. So obviously, so two things happened. I thought it was a fine match. It was good. And then, but Young Bucks obviously have won, so they are the new and first ever two-time AEW Tag Team Champions. And at the end of the match, Christian Cage basically turns on Jungle Express, goes after Jungle Boy, hits him with the Impaler, or whatever he calls it, the Kill Switch, whatever he calls it now, and hits him with the concerto in front of his friends and family. And he basically said, "You grew up a piece of shit, or you brought up a piece of shit, all this kind of stuff." So Christian Cage just turned heel. Who the seen that coming. And yeah, that's pretty much going to set up a separate feud with their Jungle Boy and Christian Cage. But yeah, all in all, what did you think of that whole situation? And are you fine with the Young Bucks being world champions and whatnot?
No.
Oh God.
Well, no, the only reason why I'm a little okay with it is it if it's only going to be good if this was meant to get to take the Young Bucks, and it's not going to happen at the New Japan at the Forbidden Door pay-per-view, but the only way I'm okay with this is this leads to a Young Bucks FTR 2 match, and FTR finally takes the titles again off the Bucks at what is it? All Out. Well, they actually lost the titles to the Bucks. The only way that I'm okay with this is if FTR gets the titles from the Bucks at All Out. That's it. Other than this, I really do think before the Jeff Hardy deal, I really do think that they meant for the Hardys to win this match. I think
Oh,
I really
I
do
always
think
pinned it for the Young Bucks.
I think the Hardys were supposed to win this match, but and then maybe start something a little more with the Young Bucks because they got one over at the Young Bucks at the pay-per-view.
Yeah,
I don't think they were going to let that stand. I think they were supposed to have a little program. Either way, they were supposed to lose the titles because now we're starting something off with Christian Cage and Jungle Boy, which Jungle Boy, he's colder than ever. I mean, his story, his character. He hasn't improved much in the ring. He's the same old, botches at least one move a match, maybe even two sometimes. Hasn't developed much. He has the fucking dinosaur with him. I hope they get rid of him. Christian Cage is colder than ever either. He's done nothing but be their manager, their mouthpiece, which is I didn't really have too much of a problem with, but I just thought that Christian Cage would be something other than a mentor. I mean, I thought he can be utilized differently. I think he's a lot smoother in the ring than Edge is on the other channel. So I thought he would just be utilized better. Ever since he had his match against Kenny Omega, he's just taken on that mentoring role for Jungle Boy. I don't know. I just expected more. I would have liked to see. I think it would have meant more if Christian would have had a run with the tag team titles with Jungle Boy. Like both of them, the tag team champions. I think that would have been a little bit more interesting. But I think this is just a cold feud, and nobody really cares about Jungle Boy and Christian Cage anymore. This is just a cold feud, and all the feuds right now in AEW are cold because they're going into this pay-per-view, which I think is going to be a disaster, which I'm going to talk in a little bit. So I just really don't think that people don't care too much about Christian Cage or Jungle Boy. And the only way I see this as a good thing is that, like I said, FTR takes the titles off the Bucks. Other than that, it was a shit show. A gimmick upon gimmick ladder match. Another one.
I mean,
but the Marks, they love those. They love those gimmick matches. The Marks do.
I mean, it was. I mean, I definitely think that FTR is going to be next to take the titles. It just has to be. I mean, I think they're the most enjoyable tag team, both single and as a tag team right now, in my opinion. And yeah, it just only makes sense. When you say it that way, it looked like probably the Hardys were going to win, but I think it's too soon for AEW to start doing these nostalgia runs. I mean, they obviously Hardys did it when they returned at WrestleMania. They had a little nostalgia one when they won it there, and I just don't want their titles to be like that. So I think it was a good call, definitely for the Jungle Express to lose the titles. Definitely a good call for the Young Bucks to have them, because I think out of all the teams besides FTR, they are worthy of it. And the match itself, I thought it was fine. Obviously, it was basically a TLC match, so obviously it was a spot fest. Lucha Soros, I think he did the least botches in this match. I don't think he did any. Like usually, I agree. You kind of guaranteed one.
Yeah, the less he does, the better. So
of course, but yeah, I mean, going back on the on the Jungle Express's title reign, I mean, in my personal opinion, I thought it was a bit of a flop. I didn't really enjoy their I mean, sure they had great matches and whatnot, but there was definitely a lot of ones that were just like throwaway matches. They were just random ones that's thrown on Rampage, no build against people that they're racking up wins on Dark, but you haven't seen them on TV. A similar situation to with like Scorpio Sky, where he had like this 30, 40 match unbeaten streak, but they were all on dark and dark elevation. Like, who the fuck watches those? So yeah, I don't. What do you think? Do you think it was a flop, Jurassic Express title reign?
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't take them seriously. Nobody knows they weren't the best team in AEW, not even in the top five. I mean, like I said, you got excuse me, you got FTR, the Acclaimed. I think they're are really good and have a lot of potential, and they'll get there. The Gun Club, right? I thought that for a little bit that the Varsity Blondes I thought had a little bit of potential, right?
Really?
Uh,
I couldn't stand
potential.
them.
They had potential. Brian Pillman Jr. They had a little bit of potential. I think they could have, worked well together, and they took them seriously, gave them some more TV time and what have you. But there's some teams out there that they could have worked with, that could have carried those titles for a little bit longer. I wouldn't have been disappointed, like I said, with Christian Cage and Jungle Boy, them as the champions, because that would have built their story up a little bit better, because Christian would have been more active, more interaction with Jungle Boy, right? Them forming this bond, together while they're in the ring together, working together, right? Now it's just kind of, it's cold. You know what I mean? It's a manager now fighting his protege. I think they could have gone at it a different way, at a different angle, but I mean, it's just, I think it's a cold feud, and it's whoever comes out, whether it's, of course, Jungle Boy is going to come out on top, but I just think that Jungle Boy, since he started in AEW, he peaked, and then he's getting cold. He's down now. He's not getting any better in any aspect of his repertoire, and that's his problem right now.
So who's this about?
Jungle Boy.
Jungle Boy. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a bit in limbo. I think he's to the point now where he should start moving to, or maybe that's why they could potentially be splitting the Jurassic Express. This might be a way to somehow finally doing that, make him do this singles feud with Christian Cage. Obviously, Jungle Boy goes over, it better go over, and then maybe he could start challenging for the TNT title. I'm down for that. There's something to build him up, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Jets have slightly cooled with Jungle Boy. I'm not really fussed about Lucha Soros. I mean, yeah, he needs to drop that gimmick now. I think it's run its course for sure. Yeah, I didn't really enjoy it. I mean, the matches were cool. I think I enjoyed in terms of match quality for sure. But yeah, in terms of how certain feuds were built up, and obviously, like you said, Christian Cage was there as a mouthpiece, but I swear he originally meant to go to AEW to get actual wrestling time and whatnot. And
sure,
I haven't really seen him wrestle until he lost the Impact title. Then again, was in that Battle Royal, a Double or Nothing
here and there because they needed him. Yeah.
I feel it was a bit of a flop. Luckily, the match quality is similar to how I feel like with Hangman Page. I felt like it was a bit of a flop for me. In terms his match quality saved it, but his promo work, how certain feuds were built up, I could care less. It's not memorable. You know what I mean? So that's why I kind of put him in that kind of circle. Along with Hangman Page. But yeah, of course, let me know what you think, what your thoughts on the comments regarding the Jungle Express title reign. Do you think it was, was it long enough? I think it was definitely long enough. And do you think it was actually good? Obviously, what happened in that show? Obviously, there was Wardlow versus the Security 20-on-1. It was whatever. Dax Harwood versus Will Ospreay. Now this is what the last time I saw a Will Ospreay match was, funny enough, the one where he was facing now known as Ricochet, and it was the most flippy doodah match you could ever imagine seeing. That was the last, but I know that he is like, he's one of the top 5. Jim Ross said he could be top 3 best wrestlers in the world right now. So I know what he's capable of, and he's killing it in New Japan and whatnot. But this was my first sitting to since that Ricochet match of Will Ospreay, and the chemistry between Dax Harwood and Will Ospreay. Let me just say off the bat, it was just absolutely phenomenal. I loved it. I mean, Dax Harwood is just as good as a singles wrestler as he is a tag team wrestler, I think. And yeah, the chemistry was on point. It was good back and forth, nice reversals, nice counters, and the finish was great. That's what I want to say about that match. But what did you think of that match between Dax Harwood and Will Ospreay?
Well, first of all, so they had Ospreay in a 6-man back on Rampage, but I mean that was 6-mans are always a cluster. Nobody ever really gets over in a 6-man, right? Just you have a couple of people that have a spot here and there, but I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to expose Will Ospreay, and I'll say this: Will Ospreay, his style, since he did the flip-diddy-do flop gymnastics show with Ricochet, his styles he's changed a little bit. He's matured a little bit. I get what they tried to do is because they have the pay-per-view coming up and they want to expose Will Ospreay to the people who don't know who Will Ospreay is, who don't really follow New Japan, or maybe they're a casual fan and they watch here and there, but they haven't really seen Will Ospreay perform, or maybe they just saw the flip-diddy-do shit and they haven't seen him when he takes the business seriously like he did in this match. So he can work, and it was a great match because it was with Dax Harwood. But then I'm bleeding into what I'm going to talk about, or maybe I'll just continue on from here. Is that this is the match they should have had on the pay-per-view because they go from him proving that he can work, and then he can work well, and he can sell and work with somebody with Dax Harwood, who probably had another match of the year candidate type of quality of match with him, and he's gonna wrestle. He's gonna wrestle the Santino Marella of AEW, fucking Orange Cassidy at Forbidden Door for the IWGP United States Championship. You're going from Dax Harwood. Is this the dream match that people were looking for when they imagined Will Ospreay wrestling at Forbidden Door against Orange Cassidy? What the hell is going on here with this pay-per-view? That's what I'm saying. It looks like it's going to be a disaster. It's people aren't getting the people in the matchups that they thought they would. They cannot be happy with what's going on. I mean, and I hate to say this. It pains me to say this. It really does. But I mean, does Tony Khan call up Kenny Omega and be like, "Hey, man, we gotta sell some pay-per-views. Are your shoulders good?
Get off that gurney. We need you."
What? I'm serious. I mean, this is just I haven't followed New Japan in the past maybe year or so. Maybe I've always watched Wrestle Kingdom, but other than that, I haven't really followed it too much in depth or in detail. But I don't think this is the card that's shaping up that this is what people really wanted to see. I just don't think that it's gonna sell well. I really don't. I just, I
mean, it's already sold out. It's definitely sold out.
Well, they sold out without even announcing a match, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, are people asking for their fucking tickets back? I mean, come on. I mean, Orange Cassidy and Will Ospreay, John Moxley and Tanahashi. I mean, okay, is Tanahashi as good as he was even 5 years ago?
I've seen his recent matches. He can, even for his age, he can still freaking move. Obviously, go on.
And I know he's a big star over there, a huge star over there in Japan. I mean, would you compare him? They mentioned something. Jim Ross made the comparison to Bret Hart. Would that be accurate, or would he be more like of a John Cena level? I've never been really able to gauge it.
In terms of him being a very safe person, and the good chemistry, he's more Bret Hart than John Cena.
Oh, now that makes sense to me. But I mean, John Moxley and Tanahashi, I definitely think people were expecting CM Punk, but then you have Bryan Danielson, who should be in the title picture. And then when I heard that Danielson was hurt, I'm like, okay, it's for a couple of weeks. I think you said it on the show. I'm like, they'll find a way to work around it, and Danielson will be in the title match, but he's not. And now they're saying that he might wrestle Zack Sabre Jr. I hope so, because that's the only match that's going to save the show.
Yeah,
I think in the state of I think in the state of events that are going on with, and I know we'll probably get into it in just a little bit, with the state of events that are going on that have been happening in WWE in the past couple of days, AEW cannot afford to drop the ball or go in with cold storylines or doing these introductions to New Japan and a bunch of one-offs and then come out flat with nothing or have a flat show or pay-per-view. They need to capitalize now, and they're not doing that. They're losing any momentum they had. They started losing it before the Double or Nothing pay-per-view, and they're definitely, in my opinion, running downhill from here.
I mean,
the injury to CM Punk doesn't help them. I understand, but they could have run another way.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, there's two matches I think they misfired. One being definitely with the Will Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy. There's no reason for Orange Cassidy to do that kind of stuff, or even Will Ospreay to even care about Orange Cassidy. It was just, fair enough. He's gone for a while, but you could shoehorn him in something else. The other misfire was again involving your favorite person in the whole world, Chris Jericho. There is another 6-man tag match that's involved. Was it Shota Umino, Wheeler Yuta, and Eddie Kingston versus Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Minoru Suzuki? It's weird. I like what? Why does Minoru Suzuki care about this? Like, you saw Lance Archer just randomly come out, and then was it Desperado? But they're not going to be in the match. It's going to be Minoru Suzuki. So I'm just like, why does he care? Why does this Shota Umino care? Like, why did TK okay this? It's really odd.
Why is Suzuki-gun in this? Why do they care? Nobody knows who they are. JR was fumbling at trying to explain this. The sock face Excalibur was trying to chime in. It was just a cluster. It's a cluster. They don't know how to market and sell this pay-per-view. It's not even appealing to the New Japan marks. It's just, I think it's going to be disappointing. I think, of course, they can't abandon ship right now or abort, but it's not good for them right now. It's not doing anything for their momentum. I think they're gonna come in now. They're gonna come into Blood and Guts that following Wednesday of the pay-per-view, and they're gonna hopefully finish off the feud with the JAS and Combat Club, and then hopefully they can start off fresh and start off with some new realistic storylines that people will understand, that'll be a clear cut, that'll involve the people that are supposed to be getting over instead of individuals from another company that are only going to do a one-off. They need more momentum right now. They need to get their ducks in a row, right? And just put the people over they need to put over and start making stars, because CM Punk's going to be out for an indefinite amount of time. I think 6 months or so.
Possibly, yeah.
So they need to, if they're going to make Moxley the fucking champion, fine, but they need to start building up challengers for him. And the only one that's even probably worthy of him having a program with, he's in a faction with, and that's Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan. Nothing just makes sense right now. I think they're in trouble. They need to get their ducks in a row right now. Tony Khan needs to do something. I don't think Tony Khan should be booking by himself, and he probably takes ideas from a lot of people there. But I mean, at the end, he just needs people that can make conscious decisions. I mean, you have William Regal, you have Arn Anderson, you have Jake Roberts, you have creative people there with you. But I mean, I don't know if he's turning a deaf ear to them, but just what we're seeing on Wednesday and Friday nights, it's bad. It's not making sense. They're going downhill.
This kind of echoes as if you're trying to say that TK is basically Vince McMahon, because that sounds very Vince McMahon-esque. Not to that level, but I mean, he's just, and I'll get into it a little bit. It just seems like wrestling right now is stagnating, and it needs to come up. They need to build a star. We're missing those larger than life characters, or that larger than life character that carried an era. And I know Saul would shit on me if he heard this, but like a Steve Austin. But
Steve Austin was the leader of the Attitude Era, but he didn't carry it on his shoulders alone. He
No, he
had
had others.
Vince McMahon, he had The Rock, he had DX, he had Mick Foley, he had Triple H. He had a supporting cast with him. They don't have that one big larger than life character in either company. CM Punk's supposed to do it. Cody Rhodes was supposed to do it, but they got hurt. So now who do we go to? They need to start building stars. And right now we're going to get into this, I'm sure, in a little bit with what's going on with WWE right now, they need to capitalize.
No, I agree. Another misfire match as well, going back on Forbidden Door. Thunder Rosa versus Toni Storm. Why is that on there? Ain't it supposed to be AEW versus New Japan?
And it's cold with no real story. And we know Toni Storm, she's a great athlete, she's a competitor, she's a great wrestler. But I mean, and she beat Britt Baker, which was cool because she beat her flat clean in the middle of the ring, which was a babyface is supposed to do to a heel every once in a while, get a fair win. And they're trying to build Toni Storm as a star, but I mean, this deserved a bigger build, and they're just throwing it in there in the pay-per-view. Hopefully, it'll get some buys.
No, I think so. That's 3 matches. I think they've kind of misfired a bit. Who knows? Everything's subject to change. You might be able to recover it, but yeah, definitely in terms of the card and my excitement level, especially now that CM Punk is injured, it's kind of dimmered a bit, and it's unfortunate because this is meant to be a major pay. This is something that WWE has been wanting to do or refusing to do, and now we're getting it. Far East coming to with the West, and yeah, it's kind of all over the place. It's kind of haphazard. It's kind of I don't know how to feel about it. But of course, let us know your thoughts on the comments. Do you think we're just going a bit too far with it? But yeah, what else was happening on the show as well? Just to wrap it up. So yeah, Dax Harwood. There was obviously Jon Moxley with that kind of awkwardish type of promo they had with Hiroshi Tanahashi. There was Miro versus Ethan Page, which I was really surprised. It took a lot of damage, Miro. I was really surprised. Not to say that Ethan Page shouldn't be able to do any damage to him, but I ain't gonna lie, I was expecting a squash match, and Ethan Page got a lot of offense.
Yeah,
I was really surprised at that.
Somebody who we haven't seen on TV on a regular basis for months, 6 months, took Miro to the limit.
Yeah,
and I like Ethan Page. I love Ethan Page. I wish he would have a run with the TNT title and it not be Scorpio Sky. It would make more sense because Ethan Page, he's a natural promo and he can wrestle and he can work, but I don't know. I think they gave him too much offense. Miro should have crushed this guy. Ethan Page shouldn't even have been in the match. It should have been somebody else that Miro can crush.
Yeah.
Somebody semi, believable, but Miro can crush. Miro's gonna win this. Miro's gonna win this thing, and if they want this title, if they want this title, if they want this title to mean something, they need to put it on him.
Yeah. I mean, first off, I don't agree with this new title. It should have been the trios title. Like this, this didn't make sense. It feels like it's like a forced intercontinental title, and then now TK is changing the rules, saying only certain people from certain continents can fight for it, like only foreigners can. But he's saying while foreigners can, everyone else can, and if you look at it, even though it says All Atlantic, but there's certain flags on the title which are on the Pacific.
Well,
is really bad.
I think didn't they get that idea from? Isn't that what the Never Openweight title was supposed to be? The Never.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I think the Never Openweight title was supposed to be for foreigners, for Americans, for the British or whatever that came into New Japan, and then they just fucking threw their hands up and gave up on it. So that's a good example. They said, "Fuck this," whatever.
Yeah, I don't think this is a title that we needed. I was more looking forward to the trios title. Like I think more than ever right now, they're definitely waiting until Kenny Omega comes back, and then they do the the elite thing with them. That's the only reason, because they're ready, but they're not pulling the trigger. So it must be because of Code Kenny Omega. But yeah, Miro better win. My pick is on him, so it's gonna be definitely Miro, Pac, more than likely Malachi Black. I can't remember who's on the fourth one.
Well, it's a New Japan. It's a New Japan match, but they haven't announced the participants. I think it's going to be Ishii.
Okay.
Tomohiro Ishii. He's going to be in there, but he's not going to win it. I think Miro's going to win it, hopefully.
I think most of the winners are going to be AEW. It has to be AEW that's going to be winning.
Well,
I mean, in the matches.
Well, we'll see what the politics say.
yeah, that too. But so yeah, that happened. And then Tony Storm versus Britt Baker. We went through that, and of course the tag team title match. So yeah, I thought it was definitely it was jam packed. A lot of stuff happened. It was, I wouldn't say all over the place, but because there has been a lot of Dynamite episodes where it's literally there's no construction, like there's no structure. It's just all over the place. Sure. But this one was okay. But yeah, Forbidden Door. I wouldn't say. I don't want to say there's going to be a disaster. There's quite a few misfires in terms of the matches. But yeah, we still got what? Is it one more week? Yeah, week and a bit.
Wow, so, yeah, it's coming up.
So yeah,
they got a week to get their shit together.
No pressure, right? No fucking pressure. Yeah. So yeah, so that's on that front. So yeah, going to the other company now, WWE. So yeah, a lot of stuff is happening on there. Obviously, Cody Rhodes is out, surgery's done, all good. He's gonna be out most likely to the Royal Rumble. I hope he wins it and takes the title from Reigns at WrestleMania. But now there's obviously new words saying about regarding. I mean, where do we start? Obviously, with Sasha Banks reportedly gone officially. Well, not officially. She's reportedly released from WWE, according to some sources. Obviously, it's not official, but for the whole internet world to go into a frenzy and not really refuting these claims, and the fact that she basically she's gotten rid of her blue hair, she's gone back to her natural hair. She just had laser eye surgery, so she's out for a considerable amount of time. Yeah, it's looking like she's doing her own thing. She's got WWE in the rear view, and yeah, if she's gone, I mean that's insane. I mean, well, what's your thoughts on the situation if she is actually released from WWE? Because it's crazy to think that they would let her go, but then again, they've gotten rid of Bray Wyatt, they've got rid of Braun Strowman, so anything is possible. But yeah, just want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, it's just the first thing I thought when I read it this morning when I woke up was like, well, how convenient that this news comes out the day after the executive perverts get exposed.
Yeah. Get rid of everybody. Screw it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just, they wanted to take the attention off it, but it's not working. But anyway, just if it's true, finally good for her, because she obviously wasn't very happy there at the end. I think this will be a good time for her to take a good break and do things that she's been wanting to do, like come out and do more movies and shows and stuff and commercials, and probably, how am I supposed to, like Jim Cornette says, or like Jim JR says, how am I supposed to miss you if you don't go away for a little while? So I don't think this is the best time for WWE to be losing any more key talent, but I mean, bad for them, good for her.
Yeah.
So yeah, when the time comes, it's just going to be a bidding war. And I think Tony Khan will throw some money at her and we'll see her on TV eventually. And that's probably, other than, no, can't think of anybody. She'll be the biggest star there.
Oh yeah, 110%.
In the women's division.
I mean,
in the women's division.
she would be the female version of Cody Rhodes in terms of how much hype they will get from, and because it's similar to how with the situation with Cody Rhodes. I never thought I would see him back in WWE, Obviously, with Sasha Banks, I would never, I can't imagine her being in AEW. It'd be very, very. I think it'd be more weirder seeing her in AEW than Cody Rhodes was back in WWE.
Absolutely, I think so. And I don't mean to talk because I love Thunder Rosa, but Thunder Rosa, she's an indie darling. She wasn't exposed to the world or on a national televised level like Sasha Banks was for so long. She didn't have that opportunity or time, but I think Thunder Rosa is she's a tremendous talent. And why they're not featuring her more on TV is my question also. But I mean, make no bits about it that when Sasha Banks, if I think it's not if, I think it's just a when she decides to show up, it's going to be tremendous for that division and AEW as a whole.
No, yeah, 100%. It is crazy to think that WWE would let her go and stuff, but obviously the model, the business model of WWE is just, it's not really not much of a consumer concentrated model. It's more just a business type of model. Which, from what I mean, is that basically if you're not Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar, you're expendable. Simple as like they don't care who you are. I mean, and that was, like I said, evident if they could get rid of Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman, two of their one of their biggest draws on the business. It would not surprise me if they would go as far as get rid of Sasha Banks. But just the whole, I think I said it in the previous episodes. When you look at her record and her accolades, she can be the female version of Roman Reigns, but they just don't present her that way. So I could see why she would feel burned, and the stuff with the tag team titles was the straw that broke the camel's back. And like you say, yeah, she'll be safe. I mean, she's filming The Mandalorian. She could probably be in the next Fast and Furious movie. They always go to Fast and Furious. It's true though. They always go to Fast and Furious for some reason. So yeah, but me personally, I think WWE is the only place for her. But if she shows up in AEW, I'm cool with that. That will shake up the wrestling world, But yeah, looks like whatever's happening, it's not gonna change anytime soon. I think Naomi, she's deleted all mentions of WWE on her Twitter bio. So it looks like she's said fuck it to WWE as well. So fuck knows what's going on. But as you said, funny how this obviously kind of came out because of some major developments regarding the back office and involving mainly the chairman. Obviously, if you had your head under a rock, then obviously you probably would have missed this. But basically, there's a current investigation going on with Vince. Apparently, basically giving $3 million as hush money over an alleged sexual relationship with a WWE employee, female WWE employee, and obviously not just him, not just Vince McMahon is involved in this. Apparently, John Laurinaitis is involved with this as well, and they basically gave this lady some hush money to obviously, which and made her sign an NDA to so it stopped her from disparaging Vince and mentioning about the situation and all this kind of madness. Apparently Vince gave her like a toy to John Laurinaitis, and she became an assistant to John Laurinaitis last year. All kinds of madness. It just if it's all news to you, go check out on Twitter or all the wrestling outlets. It's well covered. Yeah, I just want to get your thoughts on that. What was your thoughts when you saw this? Because when I first saw it, I was just like, it's one of them random. I didn't think it was that deep. I didn't think it was just random rumor kind of thing. I thought it was just gonna just go
away.
past.
Yeah,
it's stuck. So this is obviously serious. So what was your thoughts when you first saw this?
Well, first, I just kind of like you. Initially, I thought, and then afterwards, after reading everything and thinking, and I'll go into what I was brainstorming later on. But initially, it was like, okay, so he paid $3 million to an employee that he had a consensual relationship with, an extramarital affair, but consensual, and $3 million for her to be quiet, and she agreed, and there's no harassment charges. At the time I read it, nobody's accusing anything of harassment or anything or whatever. It's just unethical and bad business practices and fraternization or whatever you want to call it, right? Their policies or procedures or whatever. So at first I was just like, okay, no big deal. And then John Laurinaitis, and yes, there are accusations and harassment and all this, and she was scared and, you know, so forth. I was like, okay, this just blew up, and it's a problem now, a big problem. And everybody says, like, I had a friend of mine, we were kind of little chit chat about it on Messenger or what have you. She's like, well, Vince McMahon, he beat the federal government. I'm like, dude, this has nothing to do with steroids or nope. This is a different time. It was a witch hunt back then. People just wanted at the time, the federal government, for whatever reason, they had a hard on for Vince McMahon, and they just wanted somebody to be the poster boy for steroids back then, because they had just become illegal a few years prior, and the government wanted to get a handle on it. It didn't work. This isn't the steroid trial. This isn't something money you can throw at with the climate that we're in now, you know, and so forth. This is not going to go away, and I don't think it's going to end well at all for Vince McMahon. And I'll go into what I was thinking and brainstorming, that, dude, it's just wrestling. I think WWE, and with the stagnation of both major companies, I think wrestling was entering a dark time, just like it did in the early going into mid-90s with all the scandals, mainly with WWF at the time, the Ring Boy scandal. If you guys don't know what that's about, look it up, YouTube, and Google it. At the same time, you had the steroid scandal, and then, you know, allegations with Pat Patterson and so forth, and it just kept on getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And then wrestling at the time, the fandom and popularity started going down in the early 90s, and in the mid-90s hit a dark spot. And now with exploits like Dark Side of the Ring that doesn't help any and make the wrestling business look bad, and A&E biography picking and choosing who they want to talk good about. They slammed They slammed Macho Man.
You noticed that as well, yeah?
I was like, what the heck? And it's just like, I believe wrestling's just going to enter into, it's getting ready to enter to a real dark time. And depending on, I don't think Vince McMahon's going to come out of this. I think he will be removed. And now today, Kevin Dunn, I read Kevin Dunn's being investigated for stock trading. What do they call it? Insider trading fraud.
Oh,
he sold off apparently that he was on the board of directors for WWE, and I read in an article that he had knowledge of the accusations to John Laurinaitis and Vince McMahon, so he sold some stocks off to avoid the plummet in the stocks when this news broke out. That's insider trading. I read that online also.
Interesting.
I don't think Vince McMahon's gonna be able to avoid this one. I think he'll get removed, and then who's gonna take over? Or are they going to sell the company? I don't think things are going to go well for WWE at all when this gives us a situation. And just like that's going to happen. I think the wrestling business, we're getting ready to take a dip. And I think that's why I was saying this isn't a time where Tony Khan can he needs help in booking. I don't think this is a time where they can go into cold storylines or programs. I think they need to put the pedal to the metal, and I think he needs help in booking and needs to listen to the people that know what they're doing there, that have done it for 20, 25, 30, some 40 years in the business, to help him, because I think this is a time where WWE, at least they're going to take a dive, and the AEW is a good opportunity for them to press the pedal, bring wrestling into a good light, make storylines that make sense, give us a good sports-based presentation. If you want to do comedy bullshit, do it in between the matches and so forth.
skits or what have you. Do it in between the matches. Don't incorporate them into storylines and matches to take it seriously. And I think they'll prosper and do well. But I think as a whole, the wrestling business is getting ready to take a dark turn. It's not good.
Yeah, it's pretty mad. Also, by the way, if you see me rubbing my eyes, it's not because I'm crying or like, it's basically
he's crying. He's
it's
because
hay
you know
fever.
I'm right, Chaos.
No, it's hay fever season, so yeah, eyes are itchy as hell. But yeah, regarding this situation, I mean, it's I w- it's not happening, but yeah, you gotta prepare for the worst regarding this situation. I mean, there's a lot of replay. Like I'm just reading. Obviously, whilst he was talking, I was reading some of the reports. They're saying that Jordan Laurinaitis is expected to be replaced as head of talent relations. It's crazy because he I swear he just recently got this cushy job. He just recently got it. He's looking to be replaced. Then there's talk about obviously Linda and Vince are no longer together. I thought they were actually separated for years, to be honest. But and then you know, what else is there? There's all these different reports that's coming out, and it's just not a good look. So but now they're also saying that Vince is most likely going to survive this, you know, over this hush payment. I mean, in terms of obviously his I mean, the guy still has a lot of control over the company. I think he owns at least 80% of the shares, and he's also part of the board that's investigating him. But he owns like 80% of something that's in it, so he still has a lot of control. And you know, everyone in backstage is saying that it's going to be business as usual. They're not really threatened by it. I think they're really sticking their head in the sand and pretending like nothing's happening. But I mean, if they don't,
absolutely.
if they're not careful, it will blow up in their faces, and it's gonna be the biggest downfall of the of for Vince. So they got to be really careful.
This is it. The climate isn't what it was 5, 10,
Exactly.
15, 20, 30 years ago. More is going to come out. They're investigating other incidents that they haven't given us details about. It's going to take a bad turn. I don't think Vince McMahon is going to. I don't think he's going to come out of this. It's just it's too much. It's going to end up drowning him. He's more so now more than ever because of social media and everything's everywhere. Your life is open everywhere. Now more than ever, it's just you're going to lose in the court of public opinion. You're going to lose in the court of social media. And that has more power than anything else when it comes to your reputation, your career. You know, who knows what's going to come out? I mean, if they say if depending on what comes out, I mean, if they lose fandom, you know, they lost fandom when in the early 90s, like I said, when these other scandals, when these came out. For the most part, nobody really gave a shit about steroids, right? I mean, maybe a few parents were weirded out or whatever. Or they didn't want their kids idolizing these, you know, monsters that, you know, bodybuilders or whatever. They were using drugs to get bigger in a fake fighting, you know, maybe a few people got turned off by it, but you know, sex scandals and all this stuff. And everybody's another thing. Well, Vince McMahon, this comes out every 10 years or 15 years or whatever. Again, the climate's not the same. It wasn't the same when he got accused of harassing an employee at a tanning salon or something. The day of the Royal Rumble, the day he tore his quads. It's the board of directors, the investors knew who they were getting into when they made WWE public and continued from there on. It's just not the same climate. He's in trouble, and it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well for WWE.
Yeah. It's this is not the 70s, 80s, 90s things of like as soon as you are involved with stuff like this, like harassment and all this kind of stuff, you are literally on the brink of getting canceled. It's it's just nothing to play with, and you know, and it's even more embarrassing when when you're the chairman. I mean, just ask some of these former, or maybe some of them are still owners, but no, former owners of basketball teams. You know, once you mention something of whether it's like harassment or anything racial, you are out the door. Like, you know, literally walls have ears, And yeah, for stuff like this to come out, it's just not a good look. So obviously, because of how the power of social media and everything like that, things is going to definitely come out and develop way quicker than how they used to back in the day. So yeah, we just obviously, this won't be the last time you're going to be hearing about this. You know, do you think that he's going to resign, or do you think he's going to be fired? Like, what do you think the outcome is going to be? What would be your ideal outcome?
Well, there was discussion sometime back, a while back, that that in Vince, that he can be removed in some form or fashion,
Right.
by some vote or what have you.
Yeah.
And Vince McMahon's not going to give up power. It's going to take. They're going to have to force his hand somehow, or it's going to take his family telling him, "Hey, look, you ought to just go now, go quiet, whatever," and that's it. Or he's going to be removed. And then from there, that's what I'm saying. From there, who are they going to put in power? Everybody's saying, it's Tony Khan is going to take the executive power, and then Nick Khan. I'm sorry, Nick Khan. And then who are they going to get below him? Or is it going to be Triple H? Or are they going to bring in Shane McMahon? Or are they going to sell the company? Who knows? I just don't. The things aren't going to. They're definitely not going to go well for Vince McMahon. And as a company as a whole, I just think that we're getting ready to enter WWE wise, or the wrestling industry as a whole, because what's going on in WWE is going to enter into dark times. And then again, like I said, they exploits like Dark Side of the Ring and stuff like that. They don't help the wrestling business get any better. Right. So there you go. There you have it. They're going to run with something like this. So not going to be good.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely all over the place. And the fact that Stephanie just left immediately, taking a leave of absence, says she's gonna come back. I don't think she's gonna come back, and if she does, she's gonna give us some lesser role that she probably not even want, because Nick Khan is like, he's treating all the job roles like Infinity Stones. He's just putting it in his glove. He's got Shane's role. He's got the president role. He's got Stephanie's role. He's just trying to get Vince out. So he's treating him like a Infinity Stone. So he's probably gearing up to take over and then set it off or whatever. But yeah, we'll see what happens there. It's crazy times, crazy week, as I said.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, on that note, that has been a very eventful episode of Take It to the Table. We've come to the end of the show. And yeah, as always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the to the show. Goes a long way, helps the YouTube algorithm think that you actually like the show. Also follow us at Wrestling Republic on Instagram, and on the Take It to the Table Instagram at official_TITTT. Make sure you follow us on all those on all that stuff. And of course, thank you very much, Ignacio, for joining us on the show. Sorry that Soul couldn't be here, so you could banter off each other. We always love to see it. But yeah, as always,
hopefully next week.
Say again.
Hopefully next week.
Yeah, hopefully next week. Yes. Hopefully. But yeah, as always, I've been your host, Chaos. He has been Ignacio. Until next time, guys. Peace.